Let's talk about understanding her. Not just hearing her words, but feeling her experience. This is where most people get it wrong. They think women want solutions, that they want you to swoop in, solve the problem, fix the emotion, and move on. That's not it. What she truly wants, what she deeply craves, is to be understood, to be met where she is emotionally. When you can do that, she feels safe, seen, and ultimately connected to you on a level that logic alone can't reach. Here's the truth. We're not dealing with logic in relationships. We're dealing with emotion. And understanding her emotions doesn't mean agreeing with every feeling she has. It doesn't mean losing yourself to accommodate her. It means standing present in the storm of her emotion without trying to silence it, escape it, or override it. It means witnessing her in her joy, in her frustration, in her confusion, and letting her know, I see you. I get you. You're not alone. Because here's what happens when you don't. When you minimize how she feels, when you interrupt her with advice, when you say you're overreacting or just calm down, you're not neutralizing the moment. You're invalidating her inner world. You're telling her, without saying it, that how she feels is too much for you, that she's too much. And the moment she feels emotionally misunderstood, she starts to pull away, not out of punishment, out of protection. Her nervous system begins to code you as emotionally unavailable. And the worst part, she may not even know why. She'll just feel it. And she'll begin to detach. Understanding her isn't about memorizing personality types or playing psychological chess. It's about presence. You want her to feel like when she speaks, she's not just echoing into a void. She's speaking into a soul that's actually paying attention. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to have the courage to sit with her in her uncertainty. Ask questions that show depth. What's really behind that? What do you need from me right now? Is this something you want me to help solve or just sit with? Don't underestimate the power of reflective language. When you mirror her words back, so it sounds like you felt dismissed when that happened, you show her that you're tracking her. That's a primal need in relationships, to be emotionally tracked. This isn't soft talk, it's neuroscience. When we feel emotionally seen, our bodies release oxytocin, trust hormones, bonding chemicals. You want to know how to build emotional intimacy? This is the formula. Understand her and let her feel that understanding in how you respond. Now, I get it. This isn't easy for everyone, especially if you grew up in a home where emotions weren't expressed or worse, punished. But emotional attunement is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed. Start with curiosity over defensiveness. Lead with empathy, not ego. Because the truth is, understanding her doesn't just help her, it elevates you, it sharpens your emotional intelligence, strengthens your communication, and deepens your relational value in ways most people never reach. So if you want to be unforgettable, not just attractive in the moment, but irreplaceable in her mind and heart, don't just try to impress her, understand her. Because once a woman feels deeply understood, she lets her guard down. And when her guard is down, her love becomes unfiltered. That's the version of her you want. And that's the version of her you'll only ever meet when you make her feel this, I get you. That's the door to her heart. And most men never even knock. Safety is the silent architect of every thriving relationship. Long before passion catches fire, before shared dreams spool out over late-night conversations, her nervous system is scanning you for one thing: are you safe for me? It's an ancient algorithm, older than language, older than romance novels, driven by the brain's limbic system. We forget that love isn't the first requirement. Survival is. If her body decides you are unpredictable, withholding, or dismissive, the gates close. No charm offensive, no grand gesture can pry them open, because biology always outranks strategy. Psychological safety begins with consistency, Not the boring kind that drifts into complacency, but the reliable rhythm that tells her, your emotional landscape matters, and I will not disappear when the weather changes. When you say you'll call, call. When you make a promise, treat it like a binding contract with yourself first and her second. Each fulfilled commitment becomes a neural breadcrumb that leads her back to trust. With enough breadcrumbs and her brain files you under risk, where intimacy goes to die. Now, let's talk transparency, the antidote to suspicion. Hiding details to protect her from worry is just a romanticized form of deceit. Real safety comes from voluntary visibility, sharing not only where you are, but what you think, what you fear, and yes, what you desire. Transparency is uncomfortable because it exposes imperfection, yet that imperfection is precisely what makes you human and therefore relatable. When she sees you wrestling openly with your own doubts, she learns that vulnerability isn't a liability, but an invitation. It's the philosophical opposite of the counterfeit masculinity that equates stoicism with strength. Stoicism without disclosure is a fortress. Openness with composure is a sanctuary. Emotional safety also thrives on calibrated reactions. If she brings you fragile material, her insecurities, her past trauma, that thing her boss said that triggered a spiral, your first duty is regulation, not resolution. Slow your breath. Maintain eye contact that is soft, not interrogative. Offer reflective statements before suggestions. This posture sends her amygdala a clear signal. No threat here. Only then can the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reasoning, join the conversation. Skip this step, respond with impatience or sarcasm, and you confirm her oldest fear. Intimacy equals danger. There's a philosophical layer too that we rarely discuss, the ethics of freedom inside commitment. Safety is not about bubble wrapping her existence or shielding her from discomfort. It's about holding a wide enough container for her full range, joy, anger, ambition, without coercion. When she wants to pursue a dream that scares you because it might change the relationship dynamic, you champion her anyway. Why? Because love without freedom is possession, and possession eventually breeds resistance. Freedom within loyalty is the paradox that creates unshakable bonds. She chooses you while fully able to walk away, and that choice, made daily, holds more weight than any cage of obligation ever could. One more dimension. Safety in conflict. Avoiding arguments is not peace, it's paralysis. The real test is whether disagreement becomes a gladiator arena or a graduate seminar. Use language that critiques the problem, not the person. Say, when this happened, I felt, instead of, you always. Swap blame for curiosity. Conflict handled with dignity shows her that storms don't sink the ship, they refine the crew. Will all of this feel unfamiliar if you were raised in emotional scarcity? Absolutely. But here's the liberating truth. Psychological safety is a skill set, not a genetic gift. It is built through micro choices. Answering the tough question honestly, staying calm during her panic, showing up when it's inconvenient. Stack enough of those choices and you become the rarest thing in her world, a consistent, transparent, emotionally regulated partner who protects her freedom even in disagreement. And when she feels that kind of safety, she stops scanning the horizon for exit routes and starts investing her full heart in you. Remember this. Make her feel safe, and the fortress of her love opens from the inside. Locks you could never pick, opened by trust you intentionally built. Desire is not a given, it's cultivated. And if there's one truth most people miss, it's this. A woman doesn't just want to be loved, she wants to be desired. There's a difference. Love can become routine. Desire, when sustained intentionally, remains electric. It tells her, you're not just valuable to me, you're captivating. And that feeling, that's what keeps her emotionally engaged and sexually alive in the relationship. But here's the nuance. Making her feel desired isn't about grand gestures or constant compliments. It's about presence, undivided, intentional, attuned presence. We live in a world drowning in distraction where most people only half listen and half show up. So when you give her your full focus, when your eyes don't dart to your phone in the middle of a conversation, when your attention tells her you're the most important person in the room right now, That's felt, and it ignites something in her that goes beyond logic. A desire psychologically is fueled by attention, not just physical attention, but a noticing of her essence, how she moves, how her mind works, how her moods shift with the seasons of her life. When you show that you notice the details, the way she always double knots her shoes, how she inhales deeply when she's stressed, the way her voice softens when she's speaking from her heart, you send a deeper message. I see the parts of you the world overlooks. And when she feels deeply seen, desire becomes a shared language. It's also important to understand that desire is not sustained by comfort alone. Paradoxically, a small thread of unpredictability, mystery, challenge, polarity keeps attraction alive. When you lose your edge, when you become entirely predictable, when everything about you becomes available without effort, desire fades. Not because she's superficial, but because the human psyche is wired to be drawn to what is valued. And what is valued must be consciously maintained, not possessed, but pursued. So, be grounded, yes. Be stable, consistent, safe. But also stay in touch with your own fire. Keep doing the things that make your eyes light up. Stay connected to your mission, your creativity, your inner world. When she sees that your desire for her is anchored in a full, vibrant life, not in emotional dependency, she feels chosen, not needed. And that distinction is crucial. Also, let's not ignore the physical realm. Making her feel desired also means expressing your attraction in a way that's specific and real. Not just you look nice, but that color brings out something in your eyes I can't look away from. Real desire isn't generic. It's targeted, it's personal, it makes her feel like no one else could receive this in the way I'm receiving it from you. And yet, desire must also respect boundaries. There's a sacredness to it. It's not just about initiating intimacy, it's about reading her cues. Respect is sexy. Consent is magnetic. When you show that you can hold both longing and patience, both hunger and discipline, you become irresistible, not just because of what you want, but because of how you honor what she wants. Ultimately, making her feel desired is not about intensity. It's about intention. It's showing her consistently that you still choose her, that you're not on autopilot, that her presence still moves something in you. And when she feels that, when she knows without question that she still stirs the waters of your attention, she'll bring you her fullest, most feminine energy, not as performance, but as a response. Desire, when sustained with depth and integrity, doesn't just keep her close, it makes her bloom. And when a woman blooms in your presence, it's never by accident. It's because your energy told her, you're not just enough, you're extraordinary. Let's be honest. Everyone wants to feel chosen, but for a woman, that feeling carries an emotional weight that often goes deeper than we realize. To be chosen doesn't mean being tolerated or being one option among many. It means being prioritized in a world full of distractions, temptations, and noise. And the truth is, most women don't just want to be loved, they want to be deliberately chosen, over and over again. Even when it's not especially when it's not convenient. See, in today's culture of options, where swiping left is easier than resolving conflict, where what else is out there is always one DM away, real devotion is rare. And that's exactly why it's powerful. A woman needs to feel that your commitment to her is intentional, not automatic. That you're not just with her because it's comfortable, but because you've looked at everything else and still, you return to her with conviction. It's not about saying I love you every day. It's about the small, consistent signals that communicate you matter. That your presence isn't just appreciated, it's prioritized. You remember the details that matter to her. You defend her name when she's not in the room. You speak to her in a tone that reflects respect, even in frustration. You carve out time for her even when life gets demanding. These aren't just gestures of affection. They are declarations of choice. And here's something most men overlook. Prioritization is not just what you give to her, it's what you're willing to sacrifice. Time, ego, options. When a woman sees that you are willing to delay gratification, to shut down distractions, to center her in your future plans, that's when she feels claimed. Not in a possessive way, but in a protected way. That's when her walls come down. Because women don't open their hearts fully to potential, they open to certainty. Now, some people will say, well, she should know I've chosen her because I'm here, right? No, presence is not proof. Being physically there but emotionally elsewhere is a contradiction. She can tell when your body's in the room, but your attention, your energy, your desire, it's somewhere else. Choosing her means being present, in intention, not just location. Philosophically, choosing someone isn't about eliminating all alternatives. It's about being fully invested in spite of them. Love becomes sacred not because it's easy, but because it endures tension, boredom, friction, and still leans in. That's where respect is born. That's where she begins to feel like she's not just your partner, she's your person. And when a woman feels that, her loyalty becomes unshakable. But let's flip this for a second, because choosing her doesn't mean losing yourself. You still have to be anchored in your own mission, your own growth, your own standards. A man who chooses a woman from a place of self-abandonment is not romantic. He's unstable. She doesn't want a man who makes her his entire identity. She wants a man who's already rooted, who knows who he is, and who then says, with everything I know about myself, I choose you. That's the difference between obsession and devotion.